Good morning. Welcome to Buddha's in Your Landfill. The internet was down this morning. It just came back. And I live in Virginia, and CenturyLink apparently has been, we have DSL, and it's been on and off all weekend. Apparently either they're fixing it or upgrading it. I hope they're upgrading it. Anyway, it came back, and let's begin our morning inquiry in search for Buddhas in our landfill. And we'll talk about when we lose connection. I thought this was interesting this morning because I've been sitting around, and I also discovered that when you use the hotspot on your iPhone to run your computer, it sucks up data like a vacuum cleaner. So I should charge CenturyLink for the extra use of the data I had to get because I used up what I had. Well, everything's a learning experience. So anyway, let's take a look at our board this morning. And what I wrote up here was something that J. Krishnamurti was asked once. J. Krishnamurti was and I talked about this before, was I guess my first real guru or master connection. I'll leave it at that for a minute. But anyway, when he was asked what his secret was, he said, I don't mind what happens. I don't mind what happens. And then I was sitting there and I minded that the internet was down. So, so now how do I fit that in? What is the Dharma in here, you see? I was annoyed. But yet there's something else going on. So let's start with the annoyance when we lose connection. Now this could be connection with any plan we have. In other words, I was going to have my talk at 8 o'clock, so I had a plan. And then the internet was down, so now my plan was disconnected. And any disconnection then stands for any disconnection with our expectation. It could be anything. I mean, we're constantly being disconnected, so we're constantly being annoyed or irritated. Now that annoyance is very interesting because basically it is a unpleasant feeling. It's a tension, you're ill at ease, and this can be very minor and subtle, or it can be huge to the point where you have a nervous breakdown or you shoot somebody, or yourself, So it's a degree, but we can just start with this as an example of an annoyance because my plan, my future, was disconnected. I was disconnected from my future, which is what expectations are all about. Future plans. Plans are about, and expectations and fear are all about future. So I was disconnected, and I could not pretend I was Krishnamurti and said, well, I'm enlightened, so I'm not really annoyed. You see, then I'd be a hypocrite because I was annoyed. So I was annoyed. But here's the difference. Now, there's two ways with this annoyance. There's two ways we can go. The normal path that most people take, including myself in the past, is I'm annoyed and this feeling should not be. So I'm not okay. In other words, when you're annoyed, there is an unpleasant feeling. Now, either we're okay with that feeling, which is what I said here. I'm annoyed, but I'm okay with that feeling. So I can it's okay that I have that feeling. The feeling is still there, but I'm okay with it. So that means I'm okay. But here, I'm annoyed, and I'm saying this should not be. CenturyLink, the internet should not be down. Something's wrong with them. I'm going to change my policy. And I go run around telling everybody I'm so pissed off. And that means I'm not okay with the feeling, because of what I'm saying is that this present moment, which is the annoyance of the internet being down, is not okay. This present moment should be different. I should not have this feeling. Now, as soon as that happens, we should watch. As soon as I'm not okay with having an annoyance, I'm not okay with myself, because I am the feeling. So now I have just split myself, you see, into two conflicting selves, or me's. I'm in conflict with myself because I'm in conflict with the feeling, which I do not accept. If I don't accept an annoying feeling, doesn't mean it doesn't mean you repress it or deny it. There is no denial. It's just, there it is. There's a feeling, and I'm okay with it. It's just a feeling. And so as soon as you don't accept the feeling, you move into, I really think, you move into a state of grief. The more I think about this and look at this, is that when I don't accept the feelings I have, because I blame them on the world, and the world should not be giving me these feelings. The world is wrong. The person is wrong. They're the cause of my unpleasant feelings, and I don't accept it, and they should fix themselves, or I should get rid of them, you see. I'm really attacking myself. I'm not taking responsibility for having the feeling. It's somebody else gave me the feeling. It's them, their fault, you see. So as soon as I move in that direction, I'm really going into the stages of grief, I think. And the first one is denial, and then the next one is anger. So what am I angry? If I get angry at CenturyLink, annoyance can move into anger very quickly. If I get angry at CenturyLink, you see, what am I angry about? I'm angry about the loss of my expectation, angry at the loss of future, where me is invested, you see. In other words, when I invest myself in the future, and then I'm disconnected from that investment, that train track, you see, something cuts the track, I blame whatever cuts the track, because I've lost my investment in me. And I'm not happy now because me has been killed. My expectation of a fulfilled me in the future. You see the difference here? If I move, I can be annoyed with the event, but I'm okay with me because I'm okay right now. See, this is what I think Krishnamurti meant. I don't mind what the world does. So it doesn't mean he doesn't get annoyed. It's just that he accepts the world and he accepts himself. So it's okay that the internet is being down. I mean, I wait, or I can get a new service, or I have to do whatever I do. And I have a feeling of annoyance, but I'm still okay with this. I have not been disconnected from myself. And so this getting back down to the train wreck course, where now I'm angry because the world has disconnected, something has disconnected me. It's basically I've disconnected myself from myself, so now I'm kind of like the two halves of an eggshell that have a gap between them. And this gap between the two halves of my mind, myself split in two, is what Buddha called the suffering, or dukkha. Dukkha is the suffering of life, the pain of life that comes from our sense of separation from life. So here you see the disconnection has been misperceived because I have invested in myself in the future, and now I'm disconnected from it, so I feel disconnected from myself, you see. And that this cause of my suffering is not in the CenturyLink that disconnected me, it's in my own disconnection of myself, you see. And this creates this creates a tape loop, which is called karma. This creates a vortex of anger and increasing anger, and then other people feed into it, And it's kind of like the drain hole in a tub, you know, when the water's going down. Or the snake eating itself is a symbol of that. But our energy gets caught up, instead of a flowing creative energy of life, it gets into a tape loop of self-division, and it can't get out. Now, the upper path here, the path of liberation, is the path where even though you're annoyed with the internet being down, you still feel okay, so you are not split. And now the energy remains, the energy is not put into a vortex, but your energy becomes creative. You can do something else with that energy. Like I'm using it for this talk, you see. Now I'm thankful for the disconnection because it gave me a great idea for this talk. So it's free energy. You can use it any way you want to. So when you get disconnected, that energy can be used for self-discovery, doing something else you might not have done before, sitting down and talking, doing something new, a discovery or whatever. It's free energy. But as soon as you move in this direction, it becomes destructive energy, and you create a karmic tape loop that is a stuck record that keeps kicking, the can keeps being kicked down the road. So as soon as that one exhausts itself, there's another annoyance with the world, and another tape loop, and another karmic loss of energy, and on and on and on and on, like a rock skipping on the water, you see. So I hope this has been a good insight for me, because it was a good example of using an annoyance for a discovery, rather than fuming and festering and seething and talking it up with other people and getting angrier and getting other people to affirm your anger and so forth. So I hope this was helpful for you for the next time there is a disconnection. Stop for a minute and say, am I still okay? Now, you know, I'm okay. This is just a feeling. What's the truth here? And as soon as I do that, I can use that energy. But as soon as I blame it on the internet for disconnecting me from myself and my plans, how dare the internet do this to me? Watch how this goes. Watch what happens then. Watch how it goes into a increasing vortex of pain all the way up into anger. You see. So you really you can't really attack this. You can just have the intention to observe it and notice it and look at it. And the looking of it is creative energy. Seeing is creative. So if your intention is to see how you get caught up in suffering and vortex and anger and tape loops and karma, yada, 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 on and on. If your intention is to actually see what the truth is, that intention to see is creative energy. It's not coming from the vortex of anger. There's no seeing here. This is ignorance. It's blind. There's no seeing. No awareness. It's darkness, you see. Here, you can turn a potential vortex of anger into a creative insight. And when you do this, free energy is always joy. Okay? This is what people like when they're creative and they're dancing or they're doing something creative. There's a sense of joy about it. You like doing it. That's the sign you have free energy. There's no joy in the stages of grief, where you're denial, you're angry, and you're just getting caught up in the tape loop of karma. So thank you for being here today, and check in at Martini time at 5 o'clock if the internet is still here.